Hello everyone, this is part 6 video on past year NEET questions from the chapter Thermodynamics. Now those who are looking at this video can probably take a look at the other previous 5 parts so that you will have continuity of questions. We will start with the question that has come in the year 2003. It's a basic Hess law, very basic application of the Hess law. Okay, the formation of a solution from two components can be considered as. So what will be the two components? If you look at a binary solution, we'll have a solvent, we'll have a solute. If we look at the other solutions, definitely solvent is going to be one, but we may have more than one solute. Okay, now first step is what? Pure solvent giving rise to separated solvent molecules, enthalpy change delta H1. Second step is pure solute, separated solute molecules, enthalpy change delta H2. Separated solvent and separated solute molecules, they will aggregate to form the solution, that is delta H3. Solution so formed will be ideal if. So we are looking at a condition where the solution has to be ideal. So if you look at the definition of what is an heat of solution. Okay, so delta H solution means what? Heat of solution or enthalpy of solution. It's basically the enthalpy change involved in the dissolution of a solute in a solvent resulting in infinite dilution. So this is what will be the definition of enthalpy of solution. Now when we consider the solution to be an ideal one, if you look at the first stage, what is the first stage? We have the solvent. So let us call the solvent as what? 1. Okay, so 1 particles, they get separated. Okay, so they get separated, that is basically our del H1. And the second step is what? The 2 particles, 2 we can take it as what? Solute. They get separated. Okay, so the 2 particles will get separated. Now what is the third stage? The separated 1 particles and the separated 2 particles, they will form a solution. Okay, that is del H3. If you look at the ideal case, what will be the ideal case? The Hess law has to be satisfied thoroughly, which means the del H1, because if you add these steps, right, these are like what? The individual steps. Okay, so if you think about it just like a chemical reaction or a phenomena sort of a thing, then we will see that we can see that the separated 1 particles, solvent particles will get cancelled, separated 2 particles will get cancelled. Overall what we have on the LHS side, the original side is what? The solvent particles plus solute particles, that is finally giving rise to the solution. So if you were to apply the Hess law, then we must have what? Del H of the solution should be equal to delta H1 plus delta H2 plus delta H3. So that's when it will satisfy the Hess law. If it is an ideal, then it must exactly satisfy this. There must be no heat losses in terms of the formation of the solution. So for an ideal solution, what is the condition we must have? Del H solution should be equal to delta H1 plus delta H2 plus delta H3. The correct answer for this is option A. Next we have another straightforward question. This has come in the year 2003. For which one of the following equations is a delta H naught reaction? Means the enthalpy change of the reaction under standard conditions is equal to del H naught F. What is this notation? This is the standard. What is this notation? This is the standard enthalpy of formation. This is standard enthalpy of formation. Okay, so the question they are asking is, they are giving us a group of 4 reactions. Among them, we have to identify for which of them the enthalpy of the reaction at standard conditions represents the enthalpy of formation of the product under the standard conditions. See, first we must understand what is the definition of the enthalpy of formation. So enthalpy of formation means the enthalpy change involved in the formation of 1 mole of a substance. There is the enthalpy change involved in the formation of 1 mole of a substance from the basic constituents. Okay, So it is the enthalpy change involved in the formation of 1 mole of substance from the basic constituents. And here if you look at it, right, for any substance, like rather we'll start with the option A, N2O3, that is the product. It must be formed from the basic constituents. Of course we have 1 mole of N2O3, that's fine. It must be formed from the basic constituents. Basic constituent means what? We must be having nitrogen, basic constituent is N2 gas. But for oxygen, basic constituent is not ozone, it is actually O2. Means this is not going to be representing the enthalpy of formation reaction. Option B, here anyway we have two products. So we are looking at formation of 1 mole of a substance. We are looking at only one product being formed from the basic constituents. Option C, XeF4 is the product, we have 1 mole. What will be the basic constituents? Xenon, it is xenon gas, because the 18 group elements are what? Unimolecular. And for fluorine, the basic constituent is F2 gas. So we can clearly see 1 mole of XeF4 gas is formed from the basic constituents. So this will be the one that represents the enthalpy of formation reaction. Whereas if you go to the option D, here we are forming 2 moles of CO2 out of picture. Why? Because we should always have 1 mole of the substance being formed, that too from the basic constituents. Means for carbon dioxide, the basic constituents will be what? Carbon graphite, and for oxygen it is O2 gas. But here if you look at it, we are having the reactants as what? Carbon monoxide and oxygen gas. So that is also not going to be representing the enthalpy of formation. So what is the correct answer? It is option C. Option C will be the equation that represents the enthalpy of formation. Next we have a question that has come in the year 2003. It's a basic question on the specific heat capacity concept. The molar heat capacity of water at constant pressure is 75 joule per Kelvin per mole. So they call it as what? Molar heat capacity. That's why we'll have it per mole. If it is a mass specific heat capacity, we will have it as what? Either joule per Kelvin per kg or joule per Kelvin per gram. It will be with respect to mass. When 1 kilojoule, so we have to be careful. So here in the specific heat capacity, the thing that is coming is joule, and here we have 1 kilojoule. So we must convert this also into joules. When 1 kilojoules of heat is supplied to 100 gram of water, which is free to expand, the increase in temperature of water is. So we need to find what will be the increase in temperature of the water. So if you look at it in one way, so we are giving heat. Q is given. What is the Q value? 1 kilojoules means it will be 1000 joule. And mass of the water is given. What is the mass of the water? 100 gram. We know C. What is C? 75 joule per Kelvin per mole. We need to find what is the increase in temperature, delta T. So we have this formula, right? What is the formula? Heat taken by a substance is equal to what? Mass of the substance into specific heat capacity of the substance into delta T. But here the thing is, the specific heat capacity should be in terms of mass. Specific heat capacity should be in terms of the mass. So if you look at it, right, they have given us the molar specific heat capacity as what? 75 joule per Kelvin per mole. See, what is 1 mole of water means? 18 grams of water. Means this 75 joule per Kelvin, right, is for 18 grams of water. So for 1 gram, how much is going to be? It is going to be 75 by 18. So in a way we can say, what is the mass specific heat capacity? 75 by 18 joule per Kelvin per gram. Simply we are dividing it by what? 1 mole means 18 grams, right? That's why, if you look at the mass specific heat capacity in terms of grams, mass being in terms of grams. Why? Here other things are in the SI unit. We are not using the mass in kg, because our given mass is also in grams. Anyway, that is going to get cancelled. Okay, so let's come back to the idea. What is this? Q will be equal to M into C into delta T. So here C must be what? C must be the mass based specific heat capacity, which means Q is 1000 is equal to what? Mass is 100 gram into 75 by 18 into delta T. So here the delta T will be coming in terms of Kelvin. The delta T will be coming in terms of Kelvin. Okay. Now we are looking for delta T, means we will rearrange it. 100 ones are 100 tens. Okay, so 18 will go to the numerator. 10 into 18 by 75. This is like what, 180 by 75, and the value will be what, 2.4 Kelvin. So the delta T value will be what, 2.4 Kelvin. And you know, remember the temperature change on Kelvin scale. If the temperature change on Kelvin scale, right, is 2.4 Kelvin, then the temperature change on the Celsius scale will be also what, same 2.4 degrees Celsius. Why? Because the scale length of Celsius scale and Kelvin scale both will be same. Next, we'll move on to the question that has come in the year 2002. It's a very straightforward question on the unit of the entropy. So they're asking what is the unit of entropy. So here now we need to look at least one basic definition of entropy. So how do we define entropy for a reversible process? We'll define the entropy for a reversible process as the heat exchange involved in the reversible process by the corresponding temperature. That is how we will represent the entropy. So heat will be what, in terms of joule, SI unit if you talk about it, divided by temperature. What is the temperature SI unit? Kelvin. So we must get it as what, joule per Kelvin. How we should have the value? We should have the value as what, joule per Kelvin. Okay, but if you take for 1 mole of the substance, which we call as the molar entropy, okay, it is going to be what, joule per Kelvin per mole. So what will be the unit of entropy that we generally take? Joule per Kelvin per mole. Next, we have a reasoning sort of a question that has come in 2002. This is based on the analysis of the first law of thermodynamics. In a closed insulated container, insulated means what? No heat exchange. Q will be equal to what? 0. A liquid is stirred with a paddle to increase the temperature. See, whenever temperature is increasing, right, means what? The delta E. Here in the options they are talking about delta E. Delta E or delta U, right? What does this represent? It represents the change in internal energy. What does it represent? Change in internal energy. So when the temperature is increasing means what? Delta E is going to be positive. Okay, means definitely this is not equal to 0. It will not be 0. It will have some value, that to positive value. Then which of the following is true? So first thing is what? Since it is insulated, Q is 0, and we are getting E will be positive, which means of course E is not 0. If you look at the first law, right, what is the first law statement? Q plus W is equal to delta E. Q is 0 means W is equal to what? Delta E. Means the value, right, of W will be equal to delta E, which is going to be not 0. So if you look at the options, right, which one will satisfy this? Option A. Option A is what? Delta E will be equal to W, which will be non-zero, but Q will be equal to 0. Next, we have another question that has come in the year 2002. A heat of combustion of carbon solid and hydrogen gas are minus 94, minus 68, and for methane, what is it? Minus 213. These are the heat of combustion values. Then the delta H for carbon solid plus 2 hydrogen gas gives rise to CH4. So we need to find what is the delta H for this reaction. So it's a question based on the application of the Hess law. So what are we given? We are given the heat of combustion of carbon solid, hydrogen gas and methane. So first we will just write down the heat of combustion reaction. What is heat of combustion reaction? Heat of combustion means the enthalpy change involved in the combustion of 1 mole of a substance to give completely oxidized form. Means when we talk about the first one, okay, so combustion of carbon solid, right, it will undergo combustion in the presence of oxygen to give rise to completely oxidized form, which is CO2. So for this, what is the delta H value? It is minus 94, okay, kilocalories per mole. Now second is what? The combustion of H2. So H2 will give us water vapor. Half O2 gives rise to what? H2O liquid. For this, what is the value? It is minus 68. And the third is what? The combustion of methane. So combustion of methane, here we have to balance the oxygen amount. Okay, so it is going to give us CO2 gas and 2 H2O. It will be giving us CO2 gas and 2 H2O. So for this, right, if you are to look at the balancing of oxygen, we must be having what? 2 molecules of O2. This is the balanced equation for the combustion of CH4. For this, what is the delta H value? So delta H value will be equal to what? It will be minus 213 kilocalories per mole. So these are the 3 equations we have. Now what we must get? We must get this equation delta H. What is the equation we are looking at? Carbon solid plus 2 moles of H2 gives rise to CH4. So how are we going to get this equation? That is the question. So if you have a given set of equations, we have to modify and arrange them in such a way that when we add up the modified equations, right, that should give us the overall equation. That is what is the basic concept of the Hess law. So when we get this arranged, the enthalpy change of the overall equation will be equal to what? Sum of the enthalpies of the individual reactions that are there. Okay, so whatever the reactions we are adding to get the overall equation, right, the sum of those equations enthalpies will be equal to the enthalpy of the overall reaction. This is how the concept comes. So let us look at it. So how we are going to see in the overall reaction, carbon is there 1 mole on the reactant side. Carbon is coming in only one equation, which is equation 1. Equation 1, that too we already have 1 mole on the reactant side. So we should not disturb the equation 1. Equation 1 can be as it is. Now in the overall equation we have 2 moles of H2. H2 is coming in only one equation, which is equation 2, and here it is coming as 1 mole. So which means what? We must multiply this equation by a factor 2. We must multiply the equation by a factor what? 2. And we have CH4 in the product. CH4 is coming only in one equation, which is the third equation, but the third equation is coming in the reactant side, means we must reverse it. We must basically reverse it. So if you make these changes and add them, right, then we are going to be getting the overall equation, which means the first equation is as it is, no change. So the delta H will be what? Minus 94. Second equation is multiplied by a factor 2, means the delta H will become what? It will also be multiplied by the same factor 2. Third equation is reversed. So when an equation is reversed, the delta H is going to become what? The delta H of the modified equation will be negative of delta H of the original equation. Original equation, it is minus 213, right? What is minus of minus 213 means? It will be plus 213. Clear? So this is going to be our delta H for the overall equation. So minus 94 minus 2 into 68, which is what? 136 plus 213. Okay, so what is it going to give us? 94 minus 136. It is going to be what? Minus 230 plus 213, which is what? Minus 17. Unit is going to be what? Kilocalories. So what is the correct answer for this? Option A. So always in the Hess law problems, right, we have to look at how do we need to make the combination of reactions so that we will get the overall equation. Next we have a question based on the entropy calculation. I think we may have discussed generally the entropy problems. We will get entropy problems on the reversible isothermal process, or we will get entropy problems during the phase change. If you look at the past years, right, generally these are the areas where they will ask us. This is actually a question on the reversible isothermal. Look at it. 2 moles of an ideal gas at 27 degrees centigrade temperature is expanding reversibly from 2 liters to 20 liters. Means this is a constant temperature. This is isothermal, reversible. Find the entropy change. See, entropy change of a reversible process is what? Q involved in the reversible process by the corresponding temperature. Isothermal means, what is the first law concept? Isothermal means del U is 0. Change in the internal energy is 0. So Q plus W is equal to del U, right? Del U 0 means Q will be equal to minus W. In a reversible isothermal change, what is W value? W is equal to what? Minus 2.303 nRT log of V2 by V1. This is our W in a reversible isothermal change. Means Q will be minus W, right? So it will be what? 2.303 nRT log of V2 by V1. Okay, this is Q, and this is the Q reversible, because we are looking at the reversible process. So del S is going to be what? Q reversible by temperature. So means what? The temperature will be divided. So del S will be 2.303 nR log V2 by V1. So 2.303, number of moles is what? 2. R we are taking in terms of calorie unit, which is also 2. Log of final volume is V2, right? 20 by initial volume is, so log 10. What is the log 10? So this is 2.303 into 4, and log 10 is what? 1. So 4 into 2.303 will be approximately how much it is? 9.2, and it will be in terms of the calorie units. It will be in terms of the units of calorie. What is the answer for this? It is option D. It's a straight question. So we have seen already in couple of other previous years also, this entropy change in the reversible isothermal process has been asked. Next we have a question that has come in the year 2001. The change in enthalpy of the reaction. What is the reaction? 2 moles of H2O2 gives rise to 2 moles of water and 1 mole of oxygen. If heat of formation of H2O2 and H2O are minus 118 and minus 286 respectively, means what? They have given us the heat of formation of H2O2. So what is the definition of heat of formation? Already we have talked about it in couple of other previous year questions also. It is the enthalpy change involved in the formation of 1 mole of the substance from the basic constituents. Basic constituent means what? For hydrogen it is hydrogen gas, oxygen it is oxygen gas. For this, what is the enthalpy change they are saying? For H2O2 minus 188, and heat of formation for water H2O, what is the value they are saying? It is minus 286. So what will be the equation that represents H2 gas plus half O2 gas gives rise to H2O liquid. Okay, so these are the two heat of formation reactions. We need to find enthalpy change for what? 2 moles of H2O2 liquid gives rise to 2 moles of H2O liquid plus O2. For this we have to find the enthalpy change. Now if you look at it, right, how do we get this? This is a question based on again Hess law. So how do we get this? This is the overall reaction, right? Overall reaction, we have H2O2 2 moles, that too on the reactant side. H2O2 is in equation 1, let us number them as what? 1 and 2. Equation 1 H2O2 is there, but H2O2 is there on the product side, that too only 1 mole is there. So what must happen? We must first reverse the equation 1. We must first reverse the equation 1 and multiply by 2, which means reversing means what? The enthalpy will become negative, and if you multiply equation by 2 means enthalpy also will be multiplied by the same factor 2. So reversing means enthalpy will become negative. So that's why I am multiplying the enthalpy with what? Minus 2, because what we are doing, we are reversing the equation, the first equation reversing it, and then multiplying it by a factor 2, which means what? Look at it, I will write the final equation. 2H2O2 liquid gives rise to what? 2H2 gas plus 2O2 gas. So for this enthalpy change will be equal to what? The reversed means it will become minus. So minus of minus 188 is plus 188, and then we multiplied by 2, right? So it will be what? 2 times of that, which is going to be 188 into 2. Okay, so that is the del H. Let's keep it. Okay, so then the next step is what? If you want we can simplify, but we'll just do it later. So this we will call it as equation 3. Now in the overall equation, the H2O is coming as 2 moles on the product side. In equation 2 we have H2O on the product side, but there is only 1 mole of it. Means what? Second equation we must simply multiply by 2. So by doing it we will get equation 4, let us say. So what is it? 2H2 plus O2, because half into 2 will be what? O2 will be. Will give rise to 2H2O liquid. For this, delta H is going to be what? 2 times of minus 286. This is our fourth equation. Now if we add the third and fourth, you can just check it. H2, 2H2 will be cancelled. Here 1 O2 and 1 O2 is cancelled. What we are going to get, look at this, we will be getting simply 2H2O2 gives rise to 2H2O plus O2. So what is the overall enthalpy change? It will be 2 into 188 minus 2 into 286. So what is it? 2 into 188 minus 2 into 286. So if you look at it, right, if you take common out, 2 common out, what is this? 188 minus 286. 188 minus 286, which will be minus 98. 2 into minus 98 is what? Minus 196. So what is the correct answer for this? Option A. So here in thermodynamics, whenever we get a value, we have to be careful about the sign, because you can see in the options we have both minus 196 as well as plus 196. Okay, so this is a question based on the Hess law. So Hess law always, we must see how we have to get the final equation by making a combination of the given equations. Making a combination means what? We have to keep looking at what are the substances in the overall equation and where the substance is present in the given equations. Then now based on where it is appearing, whether it is on the reactant side or product side, and how many moles of it is present, we will get an idea to modify the given equation. And the two principles that you have to keep in mind. If you reverse the reaction, the enthalpy change of the modified equation will be what? Negative of the enthalpy change of the original equation. If you multiply equation by a factor, then enthalpy change also will be what? Enthalpy change of the modified equation will be same factor times enthalpy change of the original equation. Okay, so let's move on to the next question. This is a question that has come in the year 2001. When 1 mole of a gas is heated at constant volume, temperature is raised from 298 to 308. Heat supplied to the gas is 500 joule. Then which of the statement is correct? It's again the qualitative analysis question based on the first law. They're saying it is a constant volume process. Means what? That's what we also call as isochoric, isn't it? So constant volume process means what? Isochoric. For isochoric process, what is the W? W will be equal to 0. The value of W will be equal to 0. And the heat supplied to the gas is 500 joule, which means Q is equal to 500 joule. What is the first law of thermodynamics? Q plus W is equal to delta E. See, in some questions we are seeing the internal energy being represented by the symbol U. In some other questions we are seeing the internal energy being represented by the symbol E. So we must be clear that either it can be represented by the symbol U or it can also be represented by the symbol E. Okay. Now W is 0, which means what? Q will be equal to delta E. But what is the Q value? 500 joule. So which of them is going to be correct? Look at option B, W0. Q is delta E, which is equal to 500. So what is the correct answer for this? Option B will be the correct answer. Next we have a question that has come in the year 2001. The enthalpy of CH4 plus half O2 gives rise to CH3OH is negative. Means what? This is an exothermic reaction. This is what? Exothermic reaction. If the enthalpy of combustion of methane and CH3OH are X and Y respectively, the enthalpy of combustion values of methane and CH3OH are what? X and Y respectively, then which relation is correct? We have to conclude whether both are equal or which is high and which is less. So if you look at it, right, this problem also we can solve by using the concept of the Hess law. How? If you see the overall equation. So what is the overall equation? CH4 plus half O2 gives rise to CH3OH. Okay, and for this the enthalpy change is given as what? It is given as a negative. Let's keep it. This is the overall reaction. Okay, now let us see what are the other things that they have mentioned. The enthalpy of combustion of methane means what? The combustion of methane 1 mole. Here we must balance the oxidants. Okay, in the end CO2 plus 2H2O will come. I am not representing the states because here it's not very much required. So we should see that there should be 2 moles of O2. That's when it is balanced. Okay, so this is our let's call it as equation 1. Okay, and for this the enthalpy of combustion is what? X. Second is what? Enthalpy of combustion of methanol, CH3OH is what? Methanol. Here also after writing the equation we must balance oxidants. Okay, so it will be giving us CO2 plus totally 2H2O. And what about the oxidants? Here we are having on the product side we have 2 oxygen atoms and 4. Here we already have 1 oxygen atom in the methanol. Means we will be requiring only how much? 3 more oxygen atoms here. That's why we will put a factor 3/2. This is our equation 2, and for this what is the enthalpy change? Y. So how do we make a combination of the first and second equation to get the overall equation? It's a very simple thing. We just have to reverse the second equation and add. If we reverse second equation, what is going to happen? Look at it. We will be having CO2 plus 2H2O gives rise to what? CH3OH plus 3/2 O2. For this the enthalpy change will be minus Y. Equation 1 is as it is, right? What is as it is? CH4 plus 2O2 gives rise to CO2 plus 2H2O. For this the enthalpy change is X. We are keeping the equation 1 as it is, and second equation we reversed it. That's why the enthalpy change of the second equation will be modified as what? Minus. Okay, now if you see it, right, CO2 CO2, 2H2O 2H2O. Okay, and here we have 3/2 O2 and 2 O2, which will be giving us what? CH4 plus half O2 gives rise to CH3OH. That is our overall equation. Means for this the enthalpy change will be equal to what? X minus Y. The value of X minus Y is coming as what? This is coming as negative. The value of X minus Y is coming as what? Negative. Okay, now here we need to understand which will be a higher value, whether X is a higher value or Y is a higher value. But before we conclude it, right, we must keep one thing in mind, that both for the equation 1, which is the combustion equation for methane, equation 2, which is the combustion equation for methanol, the X value will be negative, Y value will be negative. X will be negative, Y also will be negative, because these are the combustion equations, right? Now look at this. X is what? Already negative. Okay, we are putting minus Y. Means what? It will be minus of minus, means this will be what? Positive. So overall the value is coming as what? Negative, right? Be very careful. X is negative already. Y is also negative. Okay, X will be negative, Y will be negative. So we are having X minus Y. We are having X minus Y. We can also analyze it by taking some simple numbers. Let us say X is minus 40. Y is minus 30. Okay, so what is minus of minus 30? Means plus 30. That's when you will get the overall enthalpy as what? Negative, minus 10. Means what is the kind of situation we are looking at? X can be something like a minus 40 and Y can be like a something like a minus 30. So which means both are negative. Then only we will be able to get the overall reaction enthalpy change to be what? Negative. So if you look at it, right, the enthalpy of combustion of the methane, which is CH4, must be higher than the enthalpy of combustion of methanol. In terms of the numerical value, right, the X value, numerical value, enthalpy of combustion numerical value must be higher than. So here don't go by the sign. It's not about the sign value. We look at, whenever we talk about the enthalpy of combustion, right, we know that it is going to be negative, because enthalpy of combustion will be negative. But if you look at the numerical value, what we must say? The numerical value of enthalpy of combustion of methane will be more than the numerical value for the enthalpy of combustion of methanol. So the correct answer we can choose is what? X more than Y. So whenever you have questions like this, right, where you get stuck, you are not able to take it to the final analysis. From that step, right, wherever you are getting stuck, try to convert the analysis in terms of some example numbers. It is not like you're guessing or anything. So if you are not able to exactly go by the variable and then conclude the analysis, try to take some sample numbers and see what is the analysis you can do based on the numbers part. Okay, so the correct answer for this is what? Option A. This is about this part video, and we'll see in the next part.